Going live now. Welcome back. As folks are filing in, I hope you enjoyed the breakouts. And I hope Aaron gave you chocolate in that breakout if you attended the death taxes and chocolate. If you didn't, you need to take that up with him. Send him a sport ticket. He would love to field that. Welcome back. One of the things I want to ask you to do is, this is such a great topic, such a big topic, that I want you to throw in a question you have for Carrie and for Winston about managing a virtual team, whether it's accountability or goals or whatever it might be. I know this is a big topic. The other thing that I wanted to let you know is that we're starting a new series here pretty soon on managing a virtual team. So if we don't get to all of your questions, if we don't get to everything you want to know, we've got more coming on this topic as well. So welcome back, everyone. Again, throw your questions in the chat. A little bit about our format for the next few minutes. We are going to interview Carrie Cowden and Winston Lowe, who graciously volunteered their time to talk with you about what I think is one of the toughest topics, I think, in the business today, which is this virtual experience and managing a virtual team. And we're going to interview them each individually at a time, and then we're also going to go through the platform and kind of show how they're using the platform to manage a virtual team. But first, I want to welcome to the stage Carrie Cowden with Connect the Dots Promotions from Arizona. Carrie, who is also just revamped your beautiful new website at Connect the Dots. Congratulations. That's brand new, like as of last week or something, right?
Yeah, it's not even done yet. It's under construction, but it's out there now, so we can get out to the world. But yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Great.
Good thing to focus on when we had some downtime.
Yeah, perfect. And actually, I'd read that that's the #1 revamp that companies, and particularly B2B, are doing, are revamping their digital assets, which makes perfect sense for this time. But Carrie, thank you. We'll get right to the questions. As a leader of your team, let's talk tactical, really, because we could talk strategy all day long, but let's talk tactics. Where do you go on the platform to manage your team? How do you get a handle on where things are at? What are you looking for in these areas?
So you're asking for a day in the life of Carrie Cowden? I don't know if you guys want that.
Exactly, yes.
So first thing I do is the dashboard, and something that we've been on the platform since 2019, April of 2019. So first of all, the fact that we already had a couple months under our belt before everything hit, commonsku saved us, because we were already used to doing the virtual. We were already used to chatting online and making notes in the orders. And it really pulled a lot for us together as a distributorship. So I will say that we were very thankful that we pulled the trigger on that before this all came down. But the first thing that we do is I have my dashboard all set up. So when I start the day, I want to go to that dashboard and I have it exactly how I want it. And that's something else that I also encourage the team members, is that my dashboard is going to look different than your dashboard. What I'm interested in is going to be different. So first things first, dashboard. And within the dashboard, my favorite thing to look at, and it's probably like the first thing I do, is click and just see if any orders have been put in. So when it's the dashboard, it's like, okay, dashboard, I can see Kim and I can see Carrie and I can see this. And then I just click on them all and just see real quick, just to kind of get a view of how people are scrambling out there.
Yeah, and size of orders, right? You would look at booked orders, open orders, those kinds of orders. You're looking for those kinds of sizes. How do you manage your equilibrium? So you mentioned something about the key times that you're frequently using the platform to get your finger on the pulse of what's happening. So beginning of the day, end of the day, I'm curious about what a leader's workflow looks like as they're trying to get a handle on their business this way.
So beginning of the day, definitely. It's the first thing I do when I go on. And this that Bre has up right now is the sales dashboard report. But I'm even talking about if you go all the way up to the dashboard, and that whole thing. That's something that I love doing. And so you've got your whole sales dashboard. And then at the end of the month, obviously, usually midway through the month, and then at the end of the month, I'm going and pulling all of the sales dashboard report, so I can actually see, who sold what as far as bookings, and then the invoicing as well. So I would say mid-month and end of the month are the bigger report pulls. But other than that, it's the dashboard in the morning and at night, just kind of like, what went on today? I want to see the pulse.
Yeah. Okay. And I saw that John threw a question in the chat that it's hard to see these things on screen. We are recording these, and we will also have this presentation for everyone to see. So Bre's presentation we can send to folks so they can check that out later to see the details, because I realize it is hard to see the screen. How do you connect to everyone on the team with what's happening in real time? I mean, do you have, what's your weekly, daily, monthly sort of flow like?
So I was inspired by Whitestone Branding when we had our sessions in January about their ethos pattern. So we were kind of down that track already, and it really kind of fanned the flames of all that we were doing, which was super cool. That's the beauty of spending a couple hours on your business and not in it. So this is Ted the Llama, and he talks to our ethos pattern and to being curious, and there's a whole thing behind that. So Ted the Llama is there, and we now have the TED Summit every month. So each month, it's not just the salespeople and me, but it's also the person that does our ghostwriting for our blog. It's the marketing person. It's the person doing the website. It's even our bookkeeper and then our order processor. And every month, we've started in December, everyone has got on this call, and it's hilarious. It's like an hour long. So not everyone has the same interest and agenda. But it's a connection point. So once a month, I'm already working weekly with each salesperson, going through all the dashboard, the project management, seeing what they have in the pipeline, how I can help. But then this monthly summit has become hilarious, and now Ted's part of it. And so it's a monthly touch for the whole team, and then a weekly touch, especially for the salespeople.
And the weekly touch, what is that kind of conversation like on a regular basis?
First of all, it's how can we help? And then it's taking the project report. So we just click on projects up there on the left, little floaty menu, and we go through and see what's not turned into sales orders yet. So what are these things? How are they doing? And I'm really excited to hear Winston, because I'm excited. I know he's got some other stuff that he uses. We definitely don't touch on all the things, but I want to get into sales targets and all those things. But we look at the projects, look at what hasn't turned over yet. And then we also look at the sales targets, like how much can we expect you to pull in? And then that's basically kind of it, prospecting and all that kind of stuff, which we're just about to integrate with MailChimp too. So that's another thing that we've learned about through attending these sessions, where we're going to add that to our mix as well.
Cool. What's your monthly meeting like in terms of, is it just free flow, which is great? I mean, it's fine. I'm just sort of asking it so that we can get ideas. Is it free flow, or do you have an agenda for things we're going to talk about?
Definitely have an agenda. I'm not a meeting person just to meet, so it's like, and I want it to be beneficial. I don't want them just to have to, I have to sign in because Carrie said. I want them to be there and have fun. So last month, we actually had our ethos pattern printed on hoodies and had them all shipped out to everybody. And then they got to put on their hoodies. And then we just talked about, we just asked random questions, kind of like Danny Rosen. I don't know if everybody knows him, but those kind of crazy questions. First rock concert, what are you celebrating today? Especially in these times when, keeping everybody up and excited about the world, which is really hard sometimes in this climate. It's been fun to have these funny, funky things and connecting that way, because we've missed each other a lot.
Yeah. Can you back up a little bit and explain ethos pattern?
So basically, I kept getting caught up in the mission statement and the vision statement and the blah, blah, blah statement and all the things in marketing ease that you have to talk about and have.
Right.
Because none of them really resonated and never came off, rolled off the tongue as well as I would like it to. And so basically it just came down to 4 things that, the team and we actually talked about in the summit that we are about. And it's curiosity, having a state of excellence when we show up every day, being responsible to the earth and to the culture, and to even down to, promo cares, which I'm on the board for, having that responsibility to the world and to the workforce, and then collaboration. So each one of those has its own symbol, and then we'll use it in all, kind of commonsku, like you guys have that whole look, even on that slide right there where you have that pattern. It's like that pattern's going to show up quite a bit. So
that's cool. I saw where Sean and their team on the first Wednesday of every month, they get their whole team together with cocktails to celebrate another month bites the dust. And that's a cool idea.
That's a good one.
Carrie, you have lots of experience in this business. We knew what the world was like before 2020 very well. You have supplier experience and distributor experience, so you're very talented. Sometimes as leaders of our organizations, I say this to say that you've seen lots of different types of management styles, lots of ways to motivate and manage teams. Sometimes as the leaders of our own organizations, we say things over and over to our team that sort of people get mind numb to. Speak to the colleagues that are here about what they can do on a regular basis to better work together with their colleagues? I mean, there are a couple of tips. There are things. I mean, I know there are things like communication, but what does that really mean in today's day? And what have you learned that transformed you from 2019 to now that's changed?
Oh God, that's a very loaded question, Bobby.
Yeah. Forget the last part. Think about what would you say to folks that what do we need to do different in our day to day that's going to help us with transparency and accountability?
It really comes down to just that. It's that simple. It's connection, and we don't have that in the same ways that we had before. And to me, that's heartbreaking. I can't stand it. I absolutely hate it. So it's as simple as going old school and picking up the phone and just having a conversation and checking in, especially like when you start those summits, and there's, 7 or 8 people on the call, and it's like, you don't know where everyone's showing up from. Like, people have passed away. There's all this guck and junk. And, so it's like, it's really empathy and having an emotional intelligence about how people are arriving to your space and making sure that they're taken care of. It's not rocket science to me. It's connection.
Yeah.
And doing what you can to know what's going on.
Yeah. Very cool. Carrie, thank you so much. Bre, did you want to walk through any of these other aspects of the platform real quick?
Yeah, I'll do a quick recap of what Carrie said.
Okay.
But before I do, though, I've just got to say, giving props to Carrie, when this kind of all settled in, she speaks about reaching out to different teams and making sure everybody's okay. I got a personal email from Carrie making sure I was okay, and it felt incredible. So I just want to, before I get into the technical side of things, just reiterate that connection felt so dear to me, and it's great just to hear that's what you're doing at Connect the Dots. So it's amazing.
I love my brain.
So just popping over to the features that Carrie had talked about. So Carrie was referencing the personal dashboard, which is available on your left navigation, top right-hand corner. What I was demonstrating was the broader dashboard report. So depending on who you're managing, you can use those 2 different areas interchangeably. Your personal dashboard tracks your projects, whereas this sales dashboard report can track your entire team's projects. So it just depends on the view that you need. Sales dashboard, of course, is broken into 3 reports. The dashboard itself tracks what was created in a given time. The pipeline tracks what's open, so you can see your open pre-sales. And then the activity report just tracks what your reps are doing. So that makes it easier to manage what's going on. You don't have to ask as many questions with what's happening. Another thing too, I don't think we had time to get into this, but Carrie and I had chatted about it just with commissions. So her team is paying commissions. I'll glaze over this one for now, but of course, if anybody has questions about this, that's what we do here at Support. So we can always talk commissions later. And I did not try to...
Not to interrupt, but everyone needs to write their elected officials here in the U.S. about protection over independent contractors right now. There's something on the slate. So make sure you reach out to your representatives. Not to make this political, but very important.
Very cool. Thank you for that, Carrie. Carrie, thank you again for sharing, as always, your wisdom and your time with us. We did a SKUcast episode with Carrie on promo cares too, and you can check that out if you want. But Carrie, thank you.
Thank you, Carrie.
And I would love to welcome to the stage now our next guest, Winston Lowe with Creative Boulevard. Many of you know Winston. Winston is out of Vancouver, where Bre is at, and I have been a big Winston fan for years. He's honestly one of my best friends in the business, and we love talking with him about anything. When I block time for Winston, I don't block just the time for us to talk about the topic that's on this slate. I block time for us to chat about other things. Everything. I think we spend 45 minutes talking about everything else and 15 minutes work. Hey, Winston, good to see you, man.
Good to see you guys. Can you hear me okay?
Oh, yeah.
Yep. Hear you just fine. Hear you just fine. Check out Winston's awesome website when you get a chance too. Allie will throw it up there in the chat as well. But Winston, thank you for doing this. You mentioned to me that one of the things that the pandemic in 2020 did was force you and your team to use the platform. I know that a lot of us, I think this is a pre-COVID thing, but the economy, we'll remember, was white hot. We were doing everything we could to just take care of the next order. And many of us got into this muscle memory of just using certain aspects of the platform. You said that you started to learn the parts of the platform that you were not utilizing at all or that you were underutilizing. Can you share what parts were vital to learning so that you and your team could work smarter with each other and with clients?
Yeah, we were definitely underutilizing the platform. When we first joined commonsku, it was, all about order processing and, just getting the orders processed through without double entries and whatnot. One of the things that we had to relearn, during the pandemic, was going into the client statuses, and just reevaluating, what our sales pipeline looked like. And, we followed some of the ideas from Ventilate Promotions, which is your store. And we really enjoyed using that pre-sales process of prospecting, making first calls, identifying the buyers and whatnot, and then all the way into tiering the clientele into tier ABC. One of the things that about our company is, we're not a typical sales or promotionals company. We really always focused on designs and branding first. So in a sales aspect, we really needed a lot of help, in getting clients from, through that sales pipeline. It was something that all of us on our team had to learn, instead of, color palettes and, the fashion trends and whatnot. Those were things that we lived and breathed and were very passionate about. It wasn't necessarily the sales pipeline. We always thought that will come. We got good stuff that will come. Right. So having that marriage of design, and now we have the tools, from commonsku, and having it simple enough for, non-sales people to really understand and carry through was a big help to us.
You segmented your clients into tiers. So you have tier 1, 2, 3, and you're using those statuses to manage your book of business. How's that helped keep you and your team focused on the right priorities?
Well, yeah, for sure. It gave us, that 80-20 rule. And that also is, it's present in just a pure sales, a pure marketing company. 80% of our revenue is driven from 20% of our clients. And we can see that through the tiers. And it allows, when I'm having a meeting with my individual sales rep or creative designer, to granularly go into each client and see where their touch points are and how they're doing, and what that relationship looks like, in a long run. From the minute that they become a client to, their life value of them, was a big, to see where they will be going in the next few years.
Yeah, that's a great point. One of the fascinating parts about our business, because we can sell so much, we sell so widely, we can sell so many different categories, and we work with clients, and we earn the one thing that's hard to get, and that's their trust. And so what we have is this incredible opportunity with existing clients, same store sales, whatever you want to call that. Mm-hmm. And when I started the day with account-based marketing and CRM, one of the things that this industry is ready built for are these tools, what Winston's doing and what folks are doing with CRM, because we have this chance, unlike some businesses who sell and have this one thing to sell, we have this broad category. So how has this helped you guys, Winston, to expand that, and with client retention? Like, maybe introducing other categories or just holding on to clients longer?
I'm trying to see if I can reframe that question. That was a big...
Yeah. Well, how does it really help with client retention? I could see how you implementing it internally has been important. That's one thing. But how do you see that impacting retention? How does it play out in real life?
Yeah, looking at this particular slide helped me. Look, when we are passionate about about logging information and logging, calls and things that happens, when we are in touch with the clients. It's kind of like writing a diary. We try to do this on a daily basis. We reflect on who we've talked to, what that interaction was like, and whether that momentum was going to carry us towards that big sale, or has it kind of went to a different direction that we didn't want. So by logging into calls and the notes and the meetings has helped us look at the trajectory a little bit better.
I love that analogy,
and retaining those clients. Sorry
to interrupt. I love that analogy of the diary and making sure you're taking notes. I think that's the hardest thing, but the hardest thing for us in sales roles is to stop and do that kind of stuff. And like you said, you're a very creative agency, and that's just something that wasn't a priority. You mentioned to me a great phrase that you have a single source of truth strategy. I love that phrase. Can you explain what that means and how it's helped your team?
It's a great segue, from this note and call and meeting. We looked at where we were before we joined commonsku, and even during the whole commonsku relationship, a lot of our information was compartmentalized, into emails, into personal notes, and into Word documents and whatnot. And we working as a team, had a hard time in finding those information and making decisions with those information was very difficult. So we implemented the single source of truth. There's a lot of software and platforms out there, but we want to keep it simple so that regular guys like me can understand. So we put everything onto the into each client's profile, from what they like, what they don't like, to transferring emails into the notes and meetings, and having a record of it, so that it allows the team within our team access to all those information. So everybody has that transparency within the organization.
Yeah. Bre, why don't you walk through kind of some of these things that we're talking about here that Winston talked to specifically?
Yeah, I'm going to take Winston's big ideas and just try to distill them down to some particular areas inside commonsku, which is hard. So thank you for that challenge, Winston. So just to go over some of the tools that Winston talked about, those client statuses, these are ways that you are able to group your clients together. They're for reporting purposes, yes. For people that love reports like me, that's great, but they're also just meant to keep things simpler in terms of managing the account. So what Winston was just talking about, being able to have them in distinct buckets, so it's easier to track what's going on with your relationship with the client. Now, the sales target report is also something we flashed here. So you can use the sales target report to track that account growth. So you can do this year to date. You can look at year over year sales. Another thing that this allows you to do is also see the last activity that you had with the client. This is the last point of contact. So that can be a sales form, or it can be one of the notes, calls, meetings that Winston was discussing as well. That's also documented in here. So you're seeing when you last touch base with the account, and of course, how maybe in my case, a lack of doing that is going to affect some sales numbers. Now, diving into those notes, calls, meetings, those actually play into a lot of different areas of the system. So one is that you've got them in that client page in the news feed. You can filter the news feed. Not everybody knows that. So there is a little drop down to segment between emails, activities, notes, calls, meetings. Speaking of emails and going to that single source of truth, pulling everything in commonsku, you can actually forward client emails into these client pages as well. If you need to know your team's forwarding address, just reach out to us at support. We can give that to you. That way it's documented inside the client page. Capturing this activity, you're also particular about the contact you were having those interactions with, in my case, John Malkovich, and that does flow over to their contact page. So I've got to keep stealing that single source of truth for this particular contact as well. So you can see everything you've done with those individuals rather than the client as a whole. So really taking it to a more personal level. And then, like I said, I'm a reports girl. So these notes, calls, meetings also go into that sales dashboard report where you can track the overall activity that you're logging. So rather than having to dig into every single client, you just have a broad view of what your team has been doing as well. You can also manage and access those notes, calls, meetings from that report as well.
The email part, being able to email within the commonsku platform has been a game changer. Because like you say, you can keep everything documented within one platform, And,
Yeah.
we don't, if we lost our email, through Google and whatnot, not that you do actually lose it, but,
Yeah.
everybody can kind of look into commonsku for the conversations that has happened.
Yeah. Yep, the single source of the truth. And when we started out, we have all these conversations and details happening that more team members are managing, especially with a team like yours, where you have this creative team. A lot of you are working with the client, so putting that data is important. Vicky had a great question: who's responsible for entering that data? Probably the answer is everyone.
Everyone. Yep,
Everyone.
everyone's responsible for it, and it's a reflection. It helps you get your personal mindfulness into your everyday task. When you go in and write that diary or write that log, it's kind of similar to what salespeople do on Salesforce. They log in their calls, and log in their action, their transactions and whatnot with their clients. For us, we look at it as a mindfulness approach.
Love it, love it. Winston, thank you, my friend. I appreciate you, and I can't wait to talk to you again. All right, Bre, thank you guys.
Thanks.